Hello, welcome to our virtual back to school night for the 2021-2022 school year. My name is Miss Allen, and I am your child's honors algebra 2 teacher. I'm going to go through this PowerPoint that just kind of tells you a little bit about myself and then a little bit about the class. So a little bit about myself is I grew up in Fremont, California, and went to Washington High School. And after that, I went to Cal Poly, which is in San Luis Obispo, not Pomona. And I received my Bachelor's of Science and credential from Cal Poly. I've been dancing since I was 2 years old, so that's definitely a huge passion of mine. And I also continue to teach dance, so I do that in San Ramon at a local studio. And this is my 8th year teaching, and all of which have been at Amador. So just a couple of things before we get started. So my contact information, my email, and then my phone number. So typically I would say I respond to emails fairly quickly, at least within 24 hours. And if not, then you can always send me a follow-up email. And then there is the phone option as well, but email tends to be a bit easier just so you don't catch me when I'm in the middle of class. And then I wanted to go ahead and talk about my website as well as Google Classroom. So my website, you can get to it through the Amador website. But basically, this has a layout of our whole entire week. So if you go to Honors Algebra 2 and then Assignments, it will take you to kind of a spreadsheet. So I use both a website and Google Classroom. I did a survey at the beginning of the year, and it seemed like students wanted both, and some students wanted one or the other. So I decided to just do both options. So the website is nice because it gives a layout of the entire week. So it's just kind of an overview. So for those students who like to kind of see what's happening on Thursday because they have a volleyball game and they want to kind of plan their week, the website's a great option. The other option is Google Classroom. So Google Classroom, how I use it is I basically post an agenda for every single day. So I'll choose the right class, of course. So I'll post an agenda for every single day. So then that way they know what we're doing in class. And then it will also have due dates. So you can see it says due today was an assignment, and then it'll also tell you what's due tomorrow. And then if you look carefully, so for each day we have the agenda, and then often I'll have video tutorials. I also always post the classwork solutions. The other nice thing about it is if you go to the classwork tab and go to resources, it has the ebook posted as well as the homework answers. So homework answers I post only because I expect students to show all of their work anyways. And this way, students have immediate feedback and can, if they didn't understand it, they can circle that problem and we'll go over it the next day. So those are both resources that your students can use to get information. So just a little bit about the grade breakdown, which was also in the syllabus. So homework in this class is worth 15%. So that's kind of like all assignments, so homework and classwork. It's assigned every single night except for the day of a test. I also, just as a reminder, I post it in several places. So it's going to be on the website. It's also going to be on Google Classroom. And then we also have it written down on our board in here on the whiteboard. So there's 3 different places that they can get it. So it's kind of hard to have an excuse if you didn't get it. The other thing, a huge portion of our class is tests and quizzes. So tests will be at the end of every single chapter. We do both an individual test and a group quiz. So the group quiz is intended as a collaboration activity in a way. It's also a great way to practice for the individual test. So it kind of gives you a heads up of what topics are on that individual test, and it gives you a chance to work with other students. 10% of their grade is just on participation. So that's not necessarily how many times they raise their hand, but more on their notebook. So every student will have a classwork notebook. Most of what we do is classwork problems and activities. And so they have a notebook that has all of this with their notes, and I will do notebook checks. The other thing is every student is required to present a problem. So that's part of their grade. So that problem could be a warm-up problem, a homework question, and obviously if there's a issue with that, then they can talk to me and they can do their problem presentation privately after school and whatnot. And then lastly, there is the final, which is at the end of each semester. So materials, we have, I'm sure you have already purchased it, a lot of you, is the TI-84 graphing calculator. So unfortunately, they're pretty expensive. However, they do have sales at Target and Walmart. Amazon, of course, has them as well. This year, we have a regular textbook, which the students should have at home. We also have a class set of those textbooks, as well as an online textbook, and all of which are passed out and they should have access to. So the online textbook is really convenient because it's just laid out very nice. It's very user-friendly. They can click exactly what chapter, exactly what section, and then on the homework, if they get stuck on a problem, it has homework explanations, which is awesome. And then most of the students by now have their materials, but I can't emphasize enough that it's very important to have graph paper. A lot of the students got graph paper notebooks. It just makes their lives a lot easier since in Algebra 2, we're going to be doing a lot of graphing. Just so you know what a typical day looks like in this class. So students come in and we always start with a warm-up. The warm-up is based on the material that we did the day before. So it just serves as a way to review, did we understand what we did yesterday? And so then that way they have another chance to practice that skill. As they are doing the warm-up, I'm walking around and checking their homework. And they should have already checked their homework answers at this point. And then after we go through that, then we'll go over any homework questions. So we always have time for that. After that, we'll go into the classwork. So the classwork is done in groups, but also it's led by me. So sometimes we might start as a class and then we'll go to groups. Sometimes we work individually. It just depends, but it's all guided by me. And we'll go a couple problems at a time, go through it, a couple problems at a time, go through it. But it's definitely discovery-based learning. And then after we do all of that, then we will kind of wrap up and review to make sure we understood the main concept of the day. And then we end sometimes with an exit ticket, sometimes not. It just depends on our time of that day. And then typically we do have time for homework for students to get started. And that way, if they do have questions, they have the chance to ask it in class before they leave. Opportunities for help. So as you know, or some of you may know, we have access period. So this gives students 2 different times to come in during the week on Wednesday or Thursday. One of the periods is 50 minutes long and one of them is an hour long. And so during those periods, they can get help on certain concepts that they're learning in class, or if they want to go back and review a test, that would be a great time to do that. And if those times don't work, then they can email and schedule to see if we can meet another time. But most students are able to make those access periods work. And that is pretty much it. So that's a little bit of a fast overview of class. And I wish I could meet you all in person, but all of your students are wonderful. And this is just a little list of things if you would like to donate to my classroom. Again, my name is Miss Allen, and thank you for listening.